Hey, 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 happy holidays. Come on in, pull up a chair. The Gaming Gang Dispatch is in the air. Howdy, gang, and welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host, here at the Gaming Gang Dispatch, brought to you by, insanely enough, thegaminggang.com, of which I happen to be the founder and editor-in-chief. So welcome aboard tonight. It is Wednesday, November 29th, 2023. This is live stream number 992. If you're not overly familiar with the show, let me point out, super casual around here. We just hang out talking about the latest in tabletop gaming news, and then we will normally take a first look at a game. And that is going to be what we'll be doing tonight. Every once in a while, I actually do a live review, but that's every blue moon. But it is not really a War Game Wednesday, but it is a historical game Wednesday. And we are going to be diving on into unbox and take a first look at Prime Minister from my friends over at GMT Games. Yeah, so we are going to dive on in. I sort of had the impression this is kind of a Euro game, or at least Euro mechanics. So we shall find out. We shall see in just a bit. It looks very interesting. Up to 4 players are vying for influence to be named Prime Minister during the reign of Queen Victoria. So that is what is on the horizon tonight. Woohoo! Should mention, if you are tuning in because you want to check out the live unboxing and first look, we do tackle the tabletop gaming news first around here. So it's going to be about probably 35, maybe 40 minutes, thereabouts, before we dive on in for our first look. So if you are tuning in live, kick back, relax, enjoy yourself. It's hump day. Happy hump day. We will get to the unboxing. Now, if you happen to be watching this 30 minutes or more after the show has ended, there will be timestamps. So if you're an impatient type, and you just gotta get to that first look, you can skip past tabletop gaming news, although we've got cool news as always tonight. But you can jump past it. Those timestamps will be located in the show notes or even in the timeline of the video, depending on what device you happen to be watching this on. Of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more you will not find here on the YouTube channel. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Lastly, this is a live show, so that means there is chat available. It's not on screen. It's one of the ways I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. And you must be a subscriber to the channel for at least 48 hours before you can take part in chat. Yet another way I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. But if you'd like to say howdy, maybe you've got a question, a comment, by all means, chime in and I will do my best to respond. First out the gate tonight is Kevin R. Smith. Roger Prudhomme is with us, as is Kevin King, the Madman. Yes, our friend the Madman is with us. He is one of our chat moderators. And so is Viper Dave. So we've got chat off and running already. We may even have lurking in the shadows, because she knows what evil lurks in the hearts of men. That's right, I'm talking about Sarah D. Then again, maybe she's not watching. I don't know. But if she is, howdy, Sarah. Good to have you on board. All right, so we're going to dive on into the news because I've got a nice mix of news tonight. First off, even though we're not looking at a war game on this Wednesday, I will share a wargaming news piece because Tiny Battle Publishing has a new modern era war game which is on the horizon. Here is the latest on Black Horse. Summer 1989. The Iron Curtain is not coming down. Tensions are high. Will war return to Europe? Black Horse is a grand tactical game of furious mechanized command in the summer of 1989. Units are companies and platoons. Hexes are 1,000 meters across. Turns are 3 hours each. Using an innovative system emphasizing friction and the importance of command and control. Black Horse puts the player in the shoes of the commanding generals of the Soviet 79th Guards Tank Division and an array of U.S. units drawn from the 11th Armored Cavalry Regiment and the 3rd Armored Division. The Cold War has become damn hot. Will you be up for the task of winning this small piece of it? The game includes a colorful and accurate 17-inch by 22-inch map depicting the area of the Fulda Gap. 2 sheets of brutally attractive counters. Brutally, eh? Brutally attractive. Yes, that's what I was in my youth. 4 highly usable player aid cards, 1 well-balanced 10-sided die, and of course a box to keep it all safe. Black Horse is a 2-player game, but it may easily be played solitaire with 1 player, obviously enough, playing both sides. Takes about 114 minutes to play a scenario. Not 2 hours. 114 minutes. Black Horse is for 1 or 2 players, ages 14 and up. Plays in around 2 hours. Yes, I consider 114 minutes to be around 2 hours per scenario. Does carry an MSRP of $55 when it's arriving next month. It is going to ship out, I believe, on December 8th. And currently, you can score a little bit of a sale on this, a little pre-order special. The MSRP is $55, but you can pre-order this right now over at Tiny Battle Publishing for $49. So there you go. Kevin R. Smith says that 6 minutes makes all the difference. Sarah D is with us tonight, says she's always watching. And the madman says, Sarah, you're scaring me. Let's talk about some money-saving role-playing game action, because there is a new bundle of holding which just arrived, and it features the Sly Flourish series of 5e D&D role-playing supplements. Although I think a lot of this could be used with really any fantasy role-playing games. I've got the Ventura. Bundle of Holding is resurrected the April 2022 Sly Flourish bundle with the Lazy Dungeon Master and Fantastic Adventures lines from, you guessed it, Sly Flourish. Since 2009, the lazy DM himself, Mike Shea, has published books, articles, podcasts, and videos that help game masters run great tabletop role-playing game sessions. With the core doctrine of prepare what matters to our game, the Sly Flourish books detail 8 steps to help dungeon masters quickly conjure exactly what they need at the table, with a focus on staying flexible and being able to improvise as the story expands. And the Fantastic Adventures series takes that wisdom from the table to the page with scenarios, layers, and locations you can easily drop into any Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition fantasy campaign. This revived 2022 offer once again presents PDFs of some of the Sly Flourish line through 2021. For just $5.95, you'll get all 4 titles in this offer's Lazy Collection, which have a retail value of $21 as DRM-free PDFs, including the book that started it all, Sly Flourish's DM Tips, plus The Lazy Dungeon Master, Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master, and The Lazy DM's Workbook. And if you pour, and if you pay more than the threshold price of $20, you'll level up and also get this Revival's entire fantastic collection with 8 titles in the Fantastic Adventures 5e Scenario Series, worth an additional $75, including the adventures, locations, layers, and ruins of Grundleroot scenariologies, plus the 4 beautiful art books that accompany the main books. These savings run through December 18th, and 10% of your payment after gateway fees will be donated to Direct Relief. Very nice, very nice. I gotta be honest, I am not a low prep person. I have never been a low prep game master by any stretch. Now, that's not saying that I sit there and figure out every last, moment of gameplay. No, not at all. But I am not one of these people who just can throw together an improvised game and feel that my players got the most out of it. I want my players, when they leave the table, to be sitting there thinking, wow, you know what? I had a really good time. And they remember that adventure down the line. I don't know. Stuff that just seat of your pants. I don't know. I'm not saying it can never be memorable, but I just don't think you provide that same sort of gaming experience. And that is where the Lazy Dungeon Master series of books do come in to allow you some improvisation, but also give you some low prep material for you to use at your game table. I'll be the first to admit I have never actually taken a look at any of Mike E. Shea's work. I have shared news pieces about various releases over the years, but I have never actually taken time out to take a peek at any of the either Lazy DM series or Fantastic Adventures. I might have to pick this up. I don't know. But you can get a pretty rockin' deal. Moving right along, Kobold Press is currently taking pre-orders for the Tales of the Valiant Player's Guide and Monster Vault. I've got the skinny. Join the ranks of the valiant. Every adventure needs a beginning. Start your own tale in an infinite universe of high fantasy adventure with the Tales of the Valiant Player's Guide. Within these pages, a trove of knowledge lies ready, waiting for the valiant to claim it. Make your own unique and legendary hero with the new lineage and heritage system. Select talents and backgrounds that make your hero truly stand apart. Master improved spellcasting and martial abilities to ensure every hero stands tall in a fight. Explore new downtime, exploration, and social encounter rules to expand your game beyond the dungeon. Learn a streamlined 5e compatible rule set with unique mechanics to increase both risk and reward. I do find it interesting that they do float out that 5e compatible. It wasn't necessarily something that was really being, I would say, focused on previously when Tales of the Valiant was kickstarting. I mean, granted, we all knew it'd still be 5e compatible, but then we also have the Monster Vault. All the monsters you need for a valiant adventure. The Monster Vault contains over 400 monsters for the Tales of the Valiant role-playing game, and all the guidance you need as a game master to run encounters with those monsters. In this book, you'll find classic fantasy monsters such as ogres, dragons, water elementals, and giants. New monsters suitable for any fantasy or science fantasy world, such as ambush hags, virtuoso liches, fey guardians, mechadrons, and robots. New terrors from the ever-corrupting void, such as voidlings, starcrows, crimson jellies, and the mighty void dragon. The Monster Vault also contains all the information a game master needs to create encounters with monsters, including monster roles and tactics, and it includes optional rules for Game Master Doom points and for characters wanting to harvest monsters for unique crafting and spell components. Both the Monster Vault as well as the Player's Guide are going to each carry MSRPs of $59.99. Right now, you can also score both core books, or I should say pre-order both core books, in a special slipcase set that carries an MSRP of $129.99. I do believe, if I remember correctly, each of the books will also be available in PDF for $39.99. The slipcase and the individual books are slated for a May 2024 release, so a little earlier than what was originally expected, because I do recall speaking with Wolfgang Bauer, and the game plan was to have these ready just before Gen Con, but it appears we are going to see these a bit early. So very cool. Very nice. Kevin King is with us in chat, says, yet another third-party series better than Wizards of the Coast recent output. Well, it wouldn't take much. In fact, I had to laugh. I was talking to my best friend Elliot just a few nights ago, and I was telling him about, because he knows about the whole fiasco with Wizards of the Coast. And let's make sure Jeff doesn't get this review copy before this hits stores. And I was telling him about the adventure and how really just awful the Turn of Fortune's Wheel, if I remember correctly, I think that's what it's called, is. And I was telling him certain, aspects of it, and he's like, "Oh my God, he says this is horrible, it's terrible." And he likes 5e. He's run it for his daughter and some of her friends. So, oh well. I am looking forward to checking this out because I didn't dislike the alpha release of Tales of the Valiant. The issues I had were, number one, that people were having to pay for it. And I don't agree with that. And yes, I know if you back the Kickstarter, you got it for free. If you wanted the physical book, which is what I shared, yes, you had to pay for that. I have no issue with that. Paying for a playtest PDF, though, that I did not agree with. And I was also surprised at how very, very similar the alpha release was Dungeons and Dragons, and how some of the small changes and tweaks were also things that I have heard through the grapevine are also going to be in that 50th anniversary edition of D&D. But I didn't say it was bad. I just kind of thought, why is this here? But I am interested in checking this out. Final news piece. Now out in PDF are updated editions of the Basic Fantasy Field Guides, volumes 1 and 2 for the, obviously enough, Basic Fantasy role-playing game. Yeah, and here's the latest. Need a few more monsters? Well, you've come to the right place. This first volume of the Basic Fantasy Field Guide series contains over 180 creatures for use with the Basic Fantasy role-playing game. From ordinary animals to extra-dimensional intruders, this book contains something for almost any game. Challenge your players with ancient illbats or deadly clockwork skeletons. Populate your wildernesses with stalwart Chelonians or the wily rabbit prince. Perhaps the next tomb your players raid will house a powerful bone horror. These and many more weird, wonderful, and wicked creatures lurk within this book. Now, in the second volume, your players may face horrific black knights or dread horsemen, or be toyed with by frost fairies or wretchlings. There may be paper tigers lurking in a wizard's library, or hivelings infesting the forest nearby. New dragons, infernals, and Nesgorians await within these pages, along with more terrors and tribulations to challenge your players. Both the basic fantasy field guides are available absolutely free over at Drive-Thru RPG and basicfantasy.org. Yes, I have to say, I wonder if these are starting to appear on Drive-Thru RPG, because I got to be honest, I don't recall Basic Fantasy. Maybe the core rule book had been on Drive-Thru RPG, but I don't remember the slew of other items that are available through basicfantasy.org being on Drive-Thru RPG. I'm kind of curious. I wonder if Chris Gonnerman is going to move from the Amazon print on demand to the Drive-Thru RPG print on demand. I don't know. I got to be honest. I don't know if Amazon is a true print on demand. I think they print up so many copies and things like that. But gotta say, in PDF, absolutely free. You're looking at adding probably over 350 monsters to your old school collection. I like Basic Fantasy a lot. I think it is really, really well done. There is a new edition, which had recently come out, that we had taken a peek at. I am ready to review it. And yes, because there's a new laptop, I'll be able to edit that video, so you can stay tuned. All right, that is it for the news tonight. Of course, I was just talking about Drive-Thru RPG. Don't forget, the Gaming Gang, thus the Dispatch, is affiliated with the One Bookshelf sites. So if you're going to go visit Drive-Thru RPG or Dungeon Masters Guild, Storyteller's Vault, Wargame Vault, what have you, any of those One Bookshelf sites, please stop by thegaminggang.com. First, click on one of our banner ads. That way, if you happen to make a purchase, I get a small portion of that sale. And all those nickels, dimes, and quarters really do add up and help keep thegaminggang.com around. And in case you're curious, yes, I do receive 5% of any order. So when I say nickels, dimes, and quarters, I really do mean nickels, dimes, and quarters. And of course, it doesn't cost you anything more to use an affiliate link as opposed to just going to Drive-Thru RPG. Kathy Evans is with us. Good to see you, Kathy. Thanks for swinging on in. So if you like this video, if you dig the channel, if you find thegaminggang.com to be a valuable resource, hell, if you just like what we do, you can always stop by paypal.me/thegaminggang to make a small donation. Hell, you can buy me a 2-liter bottle of soda. And if you are not someone who's been watching much of the Dispatch over the past few weeks, you may not know that the laptop that I did all of my video editing and other things, my show prep, those little images you see that I share while I'm giving you a news piece, all that was being done on a laptop that gave up the ghost. That's right. But tell you what, quite a few of you out there stepped up and got some skin into the game. And I really do appreciate the following folks for making donations to allow me to pick up a brand new Lenovo Legion 5 Slim on, well, it wasn't exactly Black Friday. It was what, Gray Saturday. So a big thank you to the Madman and Roger Perdome, as well as Scott B. Smith, Testy Trekkie, Gustavo Carvalho, Hector Stafford, Waco Glennon, Alwyn Scaly, William Aarons, Fleming Rock, Crowbar Creative, Pulp Hummock Press, which I think, are going to be looking at their old school Essentials Adventure tomorrow. Mail hasn't come yet today for some strange reason. It's supposed to arrive today. But also Robert Hodel, Stephen Quisenberry, Sarah D., game designer Chris Spivey, yes, of Haunted West, and come on, Harlem Unbound. I was expecting somebody to throw that up in the chat. Marius Smith and Brent Guillory, as well as John Benin. Taking a guess. So thank you to all of you out there. We hit the goal. We actually went a little over the goal of $1,000. I kicked in the rest, as well as picked up some additional RAM and a 2 terabyte solid state drive that are already in it. So yes, we are rocking and rolling. So of course, tonight's news pieces, those are all done on the brand new laptop, as will be our brief intermission. So yes, really don't have any random musings tonight. Not really. I mean, things have been just absolutely wacky here in the world above the duct tape studios. I don't even know what I call it anymore, right? But yes, just every time we turn around, it's something else break down. Got a water heater that's on its last legs. Had to swap out the bathroom sink for the bathroom that not the sink, but drain and everything that I use. I need a new starter on my car. It's like every time you turn around, it's like, what's next? Why I oughta. That's what today's efforts were. Oh, and then of course, my dad is looking to change his Medicare. So he's got a supplemental plan and he's looking at an Advantage plan. So any of you out there, anybody needs any information about Medicare and supplemental plans and Advantage plans, just reach out. I'm an expert now. Anywho, but it's all good. It's all good. Last thing I will point out, and then we're going to get into that brief intermission and dive into Prime Minister. Got an email from somebody who doesn't like the Christmas decorations. They said they were boring. So I tweeted earlier that, somebody didn't like these Christmas decorations. What would they like me to do? Dye my hair 2 tones and put a colored light behind me? Because, that's so original. It's like, come on. Everybody's got not everybody. It's always got to be whiners. And I swear, sometimes I think our hobby has more cranks than other hobbies. Not all. I'm not talking fandom like Star Wars and Star Trek, because there's quite a few cranks there too. But I don't know. Just like I'll get comments from people, I don't like this. I don't like your first looks. Oh, goodness. You don't like it? I guess I'll have to change it then. It's like plenty of other content creators out there. Go enjoy. They all, many of them all sound alike, but go ahead. Don't like the show, don't like the decorations. Oh, I thought I heard a door hitting somebody in the ass. I don't know. Look fine to me. The focus isn't supposed to be back here. That's why it's out of focus. If you're watching, the bigger the screen you watch this on, the more you'll know that this is out of focus behind me. Alrighty then. So we are going to dive on in and take a look at Prime Minister from GMT Games in just a few moments. But first, I think it's time. Do you think it's time? I think it's time that we took a brief intermission.
The Christmas season is celebrated all over the world and in many different ways, depending on deep-rooted legend, folklore, and tradition. The Greeks carried a torch for Christmas. They were the first to use gaily colored lights. Germany was the home of the Christmas tree. There are many traditions associated with the Yule log. In England, it means luck to cut the logs at midnight. Dry spruce is used in Scandinavia because its sparks chase the witches away. Magical powers are credited to the charred ash in many countries. In France, ashes under the bed protect the house from lightning. In Holland, the children leave their wooden shoes in front of the fireplace. In Spain, the children put their shoes at the window. And here's an American tradition which Santa Claus has taken a liking to. Yes, there are different ways of observing Christmas, but its message is always the same all over the world. Peace on earth, goodwill to all men.
It's holiday time, and Beauregard cries, "Hey, look, there's a snowman ringing our doorbell." And Elsie says, "That's no snowman. It's Elmer with a surprise. Borden's Eggnog, the extra special holiday drink. Borden's, very big on flavor."
Wow, Borden's Eggnog. Now we can have a party.
Borden's Eggnog is the delicious holiday treat the whole family loves, right from the carton. It's made with lots of eggs, milk, and real sweet cream. Rich and creamy, better than the best milkshake you ever tasted. Borden's, very big on flavor. This is the only time of year you can get it, so ask Mom for Borden's Eggnog today.
So by Borden's, very big on flavor.
Greetings to Father, who works all year for the family and outdoes himself at this joyous season with lots of surprises for everyone. Greetings to Mother, that miracle worker of the home whose loving effort seems sometimes like magic. And greetings to little brother, usually a terror, but somehow since he visited Santa at the department store, he's not been himself at all. Greetings to Sister, who was so busy decorating the house with mistletoe and then seemed to forget it was there. Greetings to Grandma, Grandpa, and all your uncles and aunts. May you gather round the table for your Christmas feast in the joyous tradition.
And may your celebration be filled with all the good things of life. And may the spirit of peace and happiness, love and good fellowship, which is the true meaning of Christmas, encompass your entire family.
What we want to say is that the management and staff of this theater, all of us, all of you, good luck, good health, good times, and a very Merry Christmas.
I gotta say, I think Big Sis is a tramp. Putting mistletoe up all over the house? And she's kissing 4 guys at the same time. Freaky. Tessie Trekkie's with us in chat. I have to chuckle because I always wonder what people must think if they tune into the stream for the first time during the brief intermission. Must be sitting there wondering, what the hell is this? I was checking out some gaming channel. Some eggnog commercial? Kevin King points out, looks like Kobold Press has created a Kickstarter project for the Game Master's Guide, launching in a month or so. Yes, I did see that. I don't tend to talk about Kickstarters until they launch. So I don't do news pieces ahead of Kickstarter launches, unless it's like the next day. But yes, I did see that. I sort of have the impression that all of the rules are going to be in the player's guide, and then the Game Master's Guide is going to be more of a focus on probably environmental situations and downtime, things along those lines. It's just the impression I got. I do not know. But yes, there will be a Game Master's Guide for Tales of the Valiant. Scott B. Smith is with us. Said the cow people's faces from the eggnog ad will haunt my nightmares. Borden was pretty famous. I think they're maybe even still around. But yeah, it's pretty well-known dairy in the Midwest, at least. So, like I said, I think Borden might still be around. I'm not sure. All right, so tonight we're going to dive on in, and I am going to unbox and take a first look at Prime Minister from GMT Games. This is designed by Paul Hellyer with artwork provided by Donald Hegarty. The game is for 1 to 4 players, ages 14 and up. It's supposed to play in 2 to 3 hours. It is available now. It carries an MSRP of $75. So let's swing on over to the other camera, because here I've got Prime Minister. And the first thing I'm going to do is get rid of the shrink wrap. It'll cut down a little bit on the glare, not a ton, a bit. So let's take a look at the back here. Now, before we dive on in, I should mention that my friends over at GMT Games were kind enough to provide me with its review copy. But neither I nor anyone else affiliated with Gaming Gang has received any other sort of compensation for me to share this coverage with you. These days, very, very important that you know that. Jack Hanks is with us asking, is this kind of like Mr. President? Oh, gosh, no. Oh, goodness gracious, no. I believe this is supposed to be kind of a Euro. Tessie Trekkie says, huge shout out to Area 52 in Hobart, Tasmania. Huge gaming and comic friendly local game store. Oh, I see Tessie Trekkie's now in charge of our advertising here on the show. So Tessie Trekkie said, saved their sanity for 3 days. If their cruise has been stuck there, you're stuck? I had no idea. Hopefully, all the toilets and facilities are still functioning. I could not have imagined that. I remember that story. I was like, oh, my Lord. So let's see what we've got here. In 1837, Queen Victoria begins her long reign over the United Kingdom, a country split between liberals and conservatives. Liberals strive for social progress, including repeal of the Corn Laws to help feed the working classes, expansion of the electorate to create a real democracy, and home rule for Ireland. Conservatives want to slow down the pace of change, while advancing their own agenda, maintain order, protect traditional values, and secure the empire. Her Majesty occasionally interferes in politics, but it's the Prime Minister who really governs the country and sets the political agenda. 10 different prime ministers served during Victoria's reign with varying degrees of success. Now it's your turn to experience Victorian political life, taking on the role of a historical politician. Will you make your mark as a backbencher, stir up trouble as a wily opposition leader, or successfully govern the world's greatest empire as prime minister? All right, so discussion of contents here. Ages 12 and up. Ah, well, and here I was thinking it was 14 and up. It says here it takes 1 to 4 hours. Low complexity 3 on a scale of 1 to 9. And solitaire suitability is 9 out of 9. Scott B. Smith says, I think you can earn a degree in U.S. politics after playing Mr. President. Try a doctorate. Now, I'm not saying that it's not a really cool game, but you've got to have time. You have got to have some time to invest into that game. And you've got to have a lot of space as well. All right, so we've got our multiplayer rule book, and then we've got a clockwork rule book. I'm assuming that is our solitaire game. So I'm going to move the box out of the way. This is a rather thick rule book, I will say that. But we also have fairly large font on this. Very nice. I'm liking that. In fact, you know what I'm going to do here is I am going to lock in the focus, because I did have the autofocus on here. So we got player mats. So we have party leader mats, which is the front. So we've got our politicians. Well, there's Gladstone. There's Disraeli. Then we have reverse side of the party leader mats. We have backbencher mats. Our game board, we have different sectors. Paper stock on this is really thick. It's got to be some of the thickest paper stock I've seen on a GMT rule book. So we have election projections. We have various different card decks. We have cross-party bill cards, 18 conservative bill cards, 18 liberal bill cards, 34 supporter cards, 40 event cards, and 18 uncertainty cards. Yeah, I think you can try to garner favor from various famous Victorian era celebrities. Like, I think Charles Dickens is one. So we get our setup. Each player takes a politician card, assign them by agreement or draw randomly, making sure you have the correct number of conservative and liberal politicians. So if you're playing a two-player game, it's 1 conservative, 1 liberal. If you're playing 4, it's 2 of each. 3-player, it's 2 conservatives and 1 liberal. So we have packed government and opposition. At the start of the game, the packed card is in its designated slot on the game board, indicating that the government and opposition are in a pact with each other. During a pact, the opposition may not take any action to lower the vote projections on the government's bills and may not change government MPs from moderates to partisans or vice versa without the Prime Minister's permission. This might be a relatively complex Euro-style game. So we have a section. So our politician actions can campaign, you can debate, you can flatter, and by flattering, you gain favor with Her Majesty. I guess she is amused. You can hobnob, where you're attracting influential Victorians who can help support you or your party. I think that's where, say, Charles Dickens comes in. We have backbencher action turns. So we have backbencher debate cards, backbencher career cards. So we've got supporters. All players can draw supporter cards through the hobnob action, and the PM can also draw supporters by passing certain bills. And then you play those supporters. And it says you can hold up to 4 supporters in hand for future use. We have action cube events. This type of event presents the PM with 2 or 3 options. The first option is always to do nothing, which costs no action cube, but presents 1 or more negative effects. The other action costs the PM 1 or 2 action cubes, but present more favorable results. Thematic note, action cube events are generally based on actual problems and crises faced by Victorian prime ministers. So I like how we've got these little boxes here showing us thematic notes. Okay, so we have 22 pages of rules. Then we get into our scenarios. So we've got scenario 1, a nation in crisis. That is a 4-player tournament game. Scenario 2 is home rule for Ireland. Scenario 3 is the Queen's favor. Scenario 4, repealing the Corn Laws. So it looks like we've got quite a lot of scenarios in here. We've got the Second Reform Act, fractured Parliament, the Liberal Unionists. It's like quite a bit going on here. And I think that was our last scenario. So that is number 7. So we have guide to VP pooling. An example of play, nice. And this should be relatively extensive because it didn't appear that we've got a playbook, which is something I mention every time I see a playbook, is that I always read those first because I'll go through the example of play, even though I have absolutely no idea what the mechanics are and things like that. It does give me a far, far better feel for the game than just reading a rule book and then moving into the playbook. Yeah, I'd say that this is a very, very extensive example of play going 12 rounds. I would guess we're going to get some designer notes. Oh, optional rules. Maybe designer notes are in the Clockwork rulebook. So that is the multiplayer rulebook. This is the Clockwork rulebook. I'll page through this a little bit quicker because I'm sure many of the concepts are going to be the same, except we're going to have an AI here. Flemmy Huron is with us in chat. Good to see you. Like, made it eventually. Yep. Welcome aboard. So we've got 3 of our chat moderators with us tonight. Just going through here. It's like some of this is relatively similar. And then we've got the Clockwork System 2. Clockwork System 2 allows your Clockwork opponent to function as either a prime minister or an opposition leader so that government control can change hands just as it would in a multiplayer game. Okay. So it looks like we've got special cards to utilize, depending on the historical prime minister, I guess. And then we've got some solitaire scenarios, rebuilding the party, climbing the greasy pole, morality play, law and order, the liberal unionist solitaire, and then an example of play for the solitaire game. Pretty extensive here as well. So we see 14, 15, 16 rounds, and then another optional rule. Like I said, I like these little thematic notes. That's kind of cool. Because one thing about the great majority of GMT games, you're going to learn something when you play. You're going to learn something about history. All right, so that is that. So we are going to have a variety of player aids. So we've got elections, resolving bills, I guess I could zoom in a little bit here. Let's make sure that's sharp there. Hopefully the image is sharp tonight. For 1 second, I'm going to take a look to see what we're looking at. Is we got same drop frames as always. And this is really irritating me because I took a peek at last night's show and it seems like a minute or two and then there's a freeze and you still hear the audio. And then a few seconds, it's frozen and then back at it. And it's every show now. And I specifically went and double checked tonight before I started the stream to check for lost packets, which is always an indicator of how strong is your internet. I had 0 lost packets. I had 0 late packets, which is kind of surprising. It's usually 3%, something like that. So this has got to be a YouTube thing. And the reason why I was actually late getting the show started tonight is because I was looking at using another server for the stream. But when I went and did that and changed it, it was like all of a sudden I had some other new option for managing the broadcast pop up. And I'm like, okay, I'm not going to learn how to do this when the stream is supposed to be starting. So I had to switch back to the primary streaming server. But I'm going to take a look into possibly streaming on the HLS server. All right, so we've got the elections, we got resolving bills, and then we have iconography, as well as parliamentary order. And we have 4 of these player aids. So we've got that. Then we've got, it looks like we've got some clockwork info here. So this is our clockwork player aid with iconography and elections and bills. And now we're going to start taking a look at the actual game boards. So these are where we've got bills. And just single-sided there. The Prime Minister. So it says liberals use this side in a 3-player game. Doesn't say anything different. So I guess it's just this or in a 3-player game, right? So we also have our opposition leader, also showing us that liberals use this side. So we have our actions: campaign, debate, flatter, hobnob, influence. Tells us what the effects are for level 1 and level 2. And then we get action cubes here. So we get 2 action cubes to start off with, and we get a 3rd action cube if our standing is higher than 7. And then we've got another opposition leader for the clockwork. We've got backbenchers, a couple of these. So these are the opposition backbencher. Government backbencher. I would have to take a guess that you probably swap these around. So if you become prime minister, you probably take the prime minister mat. Just a guess. Just a guess. Okay. So we've got our game board. We also have cards and tokens and the cubes and stuff. I don't think this is a huge game board. And it is not. So we've got our score track up here. And then we have, I think this is our support. So we have conservatives, liberals, middle class, farmers, gentry, Scotland, Ireland, and workers. We have election projections. We have favor with Queen Vicky. It's like we've got some cards that go off to the side here. We also have bills, election, and we've got our government MPs. It's like these are probably our starting values right here with those little dots on them. I would take a guess. And I will also take a guess that this is single-sided. Yes, it is. Okay, so we've got that. And we've got quite a few decks of cards. No joke. We've got 4, and then we've got one that's tarot card size. And it looks like this is for clockwork prime ministers. And some baggies. And of course, we've got our insert for the box as well. So we have some cylinders. We've got different cubes. We have some large white cubes. And we also have, no doubt this is for the prime minister. This one right here. I'm going to zoom all the way in, and then I'm going to give this a little more light. And we're going to take a peek at these card decks. So it looks like this is clockwork. These are clockwork. Chief Whip. Duh. So Kevin King points out no whales. No, there was no whales there. Since it's so thin. I'm trying not to chip a card or anything like that. All right, come on. All right, I'll come back to that one. Of course, we're not going to look at each and every card, but I do want to give you a good feel for what we're looking at here. That's good. Almost stabbed myself in the hand with that. Nice. Thankfully, I did not. Okay. So we have conservative bills. Start that one off. I'll just take the shrink off all these. So it looks like we've got politicians. We might even have the event deck in there too. Here we've got some supporters. And we already saw this has some clockwork cards to it. Okay. So we've got conservative bills, cross-party bills, and of course we'll have liberal bills. Maybe not in this deck, but okay. So all the rest of those are cross-party. Then we've got, I think these are the career cards. Chief Whip. Here's our pact card. Privy Counselor, Opposition Leader, Opposition Backbencher. So this is, I think that would be the opposition, right? Opposition Chief Whip. Government. Campaign Chairman. The Government Backbencher Debate card. So depending on what your career is going to determine different actions you may perform. Gotta say, this looks like a very unique game. That is for sure. Father of the House, Deputy Prime Minister, Deputy Party Leader, Campaign Chairman. Okay, so here we've got some clockwork events. Clockwork supporters. Oh, wow. So for the solitaire game, we have completely different decks. Wow. Pretty wild. We got politicians, uncertainty. Here are the events. I guess these are all events here. More supporters. I was going to say, got to find the liberal bills someplace. So let's take a look at some of these bills. So with the conservative bills, Official Secrets Act, an act to prevent the disclosure of official secrets. Okay. We're not going to look at all of them, of course. I'm just going to jump through some of these. Inebriates Act. It's to, for habitual drunkards. That's pretty wild. Royal Titles Act. Contagious Diseases Act. An act for the arrest and confinement of diseased prostitutes. Okay. And then we have some cross-party bills. Employers and Workmen Act. Of course, we've got different iconography on here as well. Dwellings Improvement Act. Windsor Castle Act. Sorry, Libel Act. I was going to say, wait a second. Liberal Act in the cross-party bills? So yes, it is Libel Act. Licensing. Well, this, like I said, this is really different. Arsenic Act, an act to regulate the sale of arsenic. Weights and measures. Okay, so now we're going to get into some of the liberal bills. Married Women's Property Act, an act to allow married women to own property. Universities Tests Act, an act to end religious discrimination in universities. Railway Regulation Act, an act for the better regulations of railroads. And then we have the Reformatory Schools Act, an act to divert juvenile offenders to reformatory school, as opposed to going to workhouses probably, or to prison. Okay, so we've got uncertainty. I see that, I think these are for the bills. Kevin King says, create prisons and workhouses. Not from the liberal side, it wouldn't be. That might actually be a conservative bill. I think you might bring these into play if you need some uncertainty in what the actual score is for these items. I don't know. Got our politicians. So this is where we're going to have our various different prime ministers. So there's Disraeli, Aberdeen, Earl of Derby, Earl of Rosebery, Earl Russell, the Marquis of Salisbury, Sir Robert Peel, Viscount Melbourne, Viscount Palmerston, and W.E. Gladstone. So, of course, they are color-coded to show you if they are, I think, conservative or liberal. So there we've got that. So we've got supporters. William Howley, Duke of Argyll, John Bright, John Brown, Charles Darwin, Cardinal Newman, David Livingston, Florence Nightingale. I was going to say, come on, there's got to be a woman. There's got to be some women in here. There we go. Emmeline Parkhurst, Prince Albert, Princess Helena, Princess of Wales, the Duke of Wellington, Oscar Wilde, Earl Grey, enjoy some of his tea. All right, then we've got some of these events. So we've got these event cards, and then we have clockwork events. American sees British ship. Famine in Ireland. Flooding in the Midlands. Prince of Wales caught in scandal. Queen's birthday. Rail disaster in Ireland. Rebellion in India. Scottish peer offended. This is pretty wild. So once again, this is if the prime minister, I think, wants to spend their action cubes. And of course, as we saw in the rules, one of the options is always to do nothing. Stalemate in war against Russia. And then we have elections, by election. And then we've got the clockwork events. And it just looks like if one thing, then this. So if PM projected to lose next election, then you're going to make these changes here. I wonder if this is support. I wonder if that's supposed to be support for the government. And then we have more clockwork by-election cards. And then, all right, I'm going to take one more shot to try to get this deck open here. Come on. Hooray, got it. So these are the clockwork politicians. So these are, once again, these are the different prime ministers. but broken down into just some various different aspects for solitaire play as your opposition. There are 2 sides. So I think the green is supposed to be, oh yeah, right there, opposition leader, and then prime minister. Huh. I don't know about you folks watching this, but pretty interesting. So Flaming Heron says the quality just of the stream just dropped a bunch. See, we're still running at the same thing. Like I said, this has got to be some sort of a YouTube thing lately because it's all the time. It's always about the same. So I will try to dive into this, probably not for tomorrow's show, but for next week, because yeah, it's driving me nuts too. So, all right. We've got all the various different decks of cards. We've got the game board. We've got the player mats and player aids, a couple of rule books, and of course, a bunch of cubes and cylinders and the big old "I'm the Prime Minister" token there. That's what I'm guessing. That's the, like, probably first player "I'm the Prime Minister" kind of thing. And that is what we find when we take everything from Prime Minister outside the box. I will do my best to have a review of Prime Minister in the future. And of course, stay tuned for that. Gotta say, this looks very, very unique, very different. Probably, I don't know, it says the complexity is a 2 on a scale of 1 to 9. But in my opinion, at least, I always find that the GMT complexity level is usually a little lower than what I would give it. So sometimes I'll see a game that says the complexity is 4. I would probably put it at like a 6. But I am very intrigued by this. And I will say that historically, I don't know a ton about the Victorian era as far as politics in England. So I would be very interested into learning more about that also. All righty then, that is it for this time out. For tomorrow's show, if it has arrived or if it arrives tomorrow, we are going to be looking at the adventure book from Polk. Try using the 2 different words, not putting them together, Jeff. Pulp Hummock. I said Polk. Oh yeah. Yes, the problem with the stream is really bugging me. So anyway, I was going to say we will take a look at the adventure book from Pulp Hummock Press, which, if memory serves, it is a mega adventure written specifically for old school essentials. So we will take a peek at that on tomorrow's show, I believe. If not, we will take a look at Great Worms of Draka from Draco Studio. And otherwise, we'll look at this on Monday, or not Monday, on Tuesday. See, that streaming thing has thrown me now. All righty then, that's it for this time out. So if you were hanging out and took part in chat, a big thank you to all of you out there, because you could just watch live, but if you take part in chat, you're actually keeping me company as well as each other when I'm paging through a rule book or unboxing a board game. So big tip of the cap for those of you out there who take part in chat. Of course, I know many of you out there don't have an opportunity to watch live. It doesn't matter if you're watching live or on Memorex. Thank you very much for taking time out to watch any of the videos here on the channel, which Got to be honest, there are over 1,600 videos here on the Gaming Gang channel. That, to me, is amazing. It really, really is. Of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more you will not find here on YouTube. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Don't forget, be sure to give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and if you do subscribe, ring that bell. It'll not only let you know when the Dispatch streams live Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evenings, it'll also let you know when I upload other videos, such as my review of Warhammer 40K roleplay, Imperium Maledictum. And I'm just losing it at the end of the show, aren't I? So this was supposed to be up earlier today. It was uploaded. It was all rendered. It was all ready to go. I took a peek so that I could do the timestamps on the video on YouTube and saw that the opening to the video was just all messed up. It's like crap. So I had to redo it, upload it again. So it should have been up today and live. It'll go up tomorrow. So by all means, check that out. And then I should let you know, my next review is for Savage Worlds Adventure Edition, if I can actually reach the book. That's the next review coming very, very soon. It'll be up this weekend. All right. Thank you very much for hanging out. Enjoy the rest of your morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time of day it is in your neck of the woods. Hope to see you tomorrow. And of course, I also hope all of you out there get to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang.